Loaded show here at Miami Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. Daniel Jones, the Miami Dolphins reportedly have interest in the former quarterback after he was released by the Giants late last week. Calais Campbell, he almost got traded at the deadline. We'll talk about what did not go down. And then we'll also break down if Odell Beckham Jr. should be benched. The veteran wide receiver has not had a good start to the season. We'll talk that and more with everything here on today's show. And let's just jump right into the first piece of news, which is the Daniel Jones news. He was waived by the Giants, and he will clear waivers. I don't think anyone wants to take on that cap hit. So he will become a free agent over the next 24 hours. And, well, according to Jordan Schultz, there's been significant interest in Daniel Jones since his release. And once he does clear waivers, the Ravens, Vikings, Lions, 49ers, and Dolphins are going to at least register some interest. Apparently, Daniel Jones wants to be able to join a contending team, but also have a developmental system to go into. And, well, I would have to say the Dolphins have a solid developmental system. And I don't think it's going to be something instant for Daniel Jones, but it does sound like he will be signed by someone within the next week or so. And purely for Miami's sake, I don't love this. We'll talk about why I don't love bringing Daniel Jones into this locker room potentially. But I do want to get out there and say I am not the biggest fan of potentially going out and grabbing Daniel Jones. But I will ask you to hit that sub button, because if the Dolphins do make a move, whether it be Daniel Jones or a different player on IR getting activated or them getting signed, we will make a video with everything breaking down on the channel. So make sure you are subscribed, because we will have you covered on everything you need to know surrounding the Miami Dolphins. All right, I did want to show this quote as well from Adam Schefter, because he said that multiple playoff contending teams are likely to inquire about Jones and his level of interest, but it will not be long before Jones is finishing out the season somewhere other than New York. So that's now Jordan Schultz and Adam Schefter both mentioning Jones likely to be signed sooner rather than later after clearing waivers, and it being with a playoff caliber team. And well, Miami is a contending team for the postseason due to this little 3-game win streak they're on, and you start to connect some dots potentially of Miami being a good landing spot for Daniel Jones. Now, do I think it is a good spot for Miami to go out and get Jones? I don't know if that's the case, but if you're in the Daniel Jones camp, yeah, Miami's a pretty solid spot to go, because Tua is a injury-prone quarterback, so there would be a potential opportunity for DJ to get back into the field as a starter, and also the backups in Miami are absolutely atrocious. And when you look at what Daniel Jones has done this season, well, atrocious is a good word to use. He just simply is not good, and he's still living off of that 2022 season where he led the Giants to the postseason and then got a 4-year contract that is pretty hefty, and then obviously hefty enough to where the Giants would move on from him. Remember last year he did get injured and did not finish the year with the New York Giants due to injury. I just think he's not a good quarterback. I actually think he's bad. I don't think this is someone that would make the Miami Dolphins better. Now, you might be able to say he's better than Skylar Thompson, which we'll talk about in just a second, but he is a bad quarterback. I promise you, I don't think it would be a smart decision to have him come in and be your backup. Now, some might say, well, it's better than some backups, but I just think Daniel Jones is terrible, and I don't really want to go through having him in this locker room, because whether you like it or not, it would probably be a distraction to have Daniel Jones in the locker room in some capacity. Let me know, though, your thoughts down in the comment section. Today's pinned comment, so if you get with you to bad break, scroll down, let it play and answer. Do you want the Dolphins to sign Daniel Jones as the backup to Tua Tagovailoa? Type Y for yes or type N for no. Get your voice heard down in the comment section. All right, when it comes to Daniel Jones, I don't want to sign Daniel Jones, but it is hard to deny that he is better than Skylar Thompson. I think almost every quarterback in the entire NFL is better than Skylar Thompson, to be fair. He is absolutely horrific. And he got 2 snaps yesterday. Dolphins were up 31-7 with 10 minutes to go in the game. Mike McDaniel puts in the backups, like, all right, take us home. We don't want any injuries with a short week against Green Bay coming up. And then a fumble ensues where they lose the handle. Jalen Wright and Skylar Thompson can't mesh together correctly. Fumbles, and then it's returned for a touchdown, 2-point conversion good. Dolphins only up 16 with 8 minutes to go, and it's like, well, the starters have to go back in. And they ended up closing it out, but it's just like, Skylar Thompson, are you shitting me? How can you have everything go this poorly? He is one of the worst quarterbacks in all of football, and maybe I would take Daniel Jones over Skylar Thompson. But the main reason why I am not making the move for Daniel Jones personally is because you still have this man on injured reserve. Don't forget about Tyler Huntley, the man you signed to the active roster, the guy who started the 3 games out of the 4 that was missed by Tua Tagovailoa, and you signed him, obviously, to have the idea of starting. Skyler started the first game against Seattle, and Huntley started against New England, the Colts. So it's interesting to mention that you have Huntley there, and he can come off of IR to be the backup for Miami once he is fully healthy and ready to come back from IR. We'll see what the Dolphins end up doing, but like I said, I don't think I would be in the camp of signing Daniel Jones. All right, let's move over to a different player on this Dolphins team, and that is Calais Campbell, because it was reported that he was almost dealt away from the Miami Dolphins at the trade deadline, but it ultimately got nixed by Mike McDaniel. We'll discuss everything and more about that in just a second. But we are sponsored by DraftKings, and I got to tell you more about the best sports book out there. The Emirates NBA Cup is here. You can win big getting in on the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. All 30 teams, split into 6 groups, every Tuesday and Friday playing for the right to advance in the single elimination in-season tourney, culminating in the NBA Cup Championship in Vegas. First time, here's something special just for you. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Score big with DraftKings Sportsbook. Every point counts. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HEATCHAT. That's code HEATCHAT for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/bball. And you could already get some plays in for Thursday Night Football, Thanksgiving, Dolphins, Packers. I already have. I went a perfect 3 for 3 in Week 12 between Miami and New England. Hopefully, I'm able to do it again this Thursday night. I'll take the over in the game like I did against the Patriots, 47.5. I think this ends potentially 28-24 in favor of one of these two teams. That would hit the over. I also think Tucker Kraft anytime touchdown score is a good play. The Dolphins struggle against tight ends, so I believe that Kraft might be a target in the red zone from the Green Bay Packers. But make sure you download DraftKings. Use promo code HEATCHAT. It's our dual code from our Heat and Dolphins channel to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you place your first $5 wager. Lines and odds are subject to change, but shout out to DraftKings. All right, when we get back to Calais Campbell and the rumored trade, I do want to make it noted that it was going to be with the Baltimore Ravens, a team that Calais Campbell has spent time with in the past. So you might be asking, Nick, what was the trade going to be at the deadline for Calais Campbell, and why didn't it happen? Well, first, let's tell you about what the trade actually would have been. The Dolphins would have been getting a 2026 fifth-round pick, and then the Ravens would have been getting Calais Campbell. It would have just been a simple one draft pick for one defensive lineman here. And it's interesting that they said no, and this is the right price point, I think. It would have been a lot more interesting if this package was a 2025 fifth-round pick rather than a 2026 sixth-round pick. And the trade was initially voted against by head coach Mike McDaniel. Now, McDaniel noted that him and Chris Grier work hand-in-hand when making decisions to this roster. Grier obviously is the general manager, but Mike McDaniel does get some input on if he thinks it would be a good idea or a bad idea. And he said he believed it would be a bad idea to get rid of Calais Campbell. He said that he's just too important to this locker room and that he didn't want to give up on the season even though the record was 2-6 at the time, because he felt a schedule that was favorable coming up and he felt like his team was turning a corner. And I tell you what, I'm glad Calais Campbell is still here because he's been a godsend for the Miami Dolphins this season. 4 sacks, 9 TFLs. He's been a mainstay. He's played in every single game for the Miami Dolphins this season. A rarity amongst defensive linemen, especially for someone who is that size and 38 years old. Calais Campbell has been absolutely awesome, and I'm glad he's still in Miami, if we're going to be honest. But let me know what your thoughts are down below. When you look at the rumor trade, let me know if you would have done this deal. Type A if you would have accepted this deal from the Ravens and got a 2026 fifth-round pick. Let me know if you are happy they didn't and you would have typed your D's for decline just like Mike McDaniel did. Well, I was a big-time advocate for trading Calais Campbell. I'm not going to hide from that. I made YouTube shorts about it. I made YouTube videos about it. I thought that at 2-6, the Dolphins should have traded their high-priority veterans to recoup assets. But I will go out and say I would not have done it for the price point that we just showed. If the Ravens were offering a 2025 fifth-round pick, I think I would have done it. But I don't really have an interest in a fifth-round pick 2 years from now. If it was in this draft, sure, I would have taken it because you could use that capital and use that asset this draft to improve the roster for next year because you are very cash-strapped this offseason, as you're only projected to have about $4 million in cap space. Right now, it will jump up with restructures and other moves, but you could have used a young player in the fifth round this year. But 2 years from now, we don't know what's going to be going on with this roster, so I actually like keeping Calais Campbell on this team. Like I said, if it was for a pick this year, I think I would have done it, but since it was in 2026, I'm very okay with them keeping Campbell, and hopefully he helps this team continue to make a run to the postseason. All right, let's round out the show with this topic of benching Odell Beckham Jr. Should Miami get the veteran off the field more often? Not that he plays that much already, but it just has not been a good year for OBJ. And when you look at his advanced numbers this season, ever since coming off the PUP list and making his debut Week 5 against New England, he's only getting targeted 15 times, but he only has 7 catches. The reception rate is horrific. Under 50% is absolutely abysmal. And it's not like these plays are deep shots. No, they're intermediate. They're short routes. They're slants. They're within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage. And you can tell by just his receptions and yardage total that he's not really breaking any tackles, and he's getting tackled relatively short after making the catch. Only 45 yards on 7 catches is not good for an outside/slot receiver. He also has a drop, including the one that just happened on Sunday against the Patriots where Tua dropped a perfect dime, a little fade slot to OBJ, and he just couldn't corral it. Would have been a gain of about 25 plus. And then he also has an interception when thrown his way. That came against New England when Huntley targeted him on a slant. OBJ could not corral it, got tipped up, and it was intercepted. It was a good PBU, but overall just resulted in interception. Not many things have happened in terms of positive things for the Dolphins when he gets targeted. The only positive I can mention that is really big was the third down conversion to a scramble to his left, found OBJ over the middle of the field. Fortunately, I think just father time got him, and it happens to everybody. The only person to, I think, successfully beat top father time in the sports world is Tom Brady, winning a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers past the age of 40. But everyone else eventually slows down, and I think, unfortunately, OBJ just got him. The injury to his Achilles back in the day, the torn ACL. He's had a lot of injuries to his lower body, and I just don't think he has that explosion, the separation that he once has. He's not as good as a route runner either because of that. I just think, unfortunately, he's not able to make that much of an impact for this Dolphins wide receiver group anymore, and Tua Tagovailoa, which is why you've seen him target Jonnu Smith and Devon Achane in the check down rate a lot more. And maybe we need to see more Malik Washington, the 6th-round rookie from Virginia who started to get incorporated into this offense more and more as a gadget guy, but maybe he needs to get more reps as just a flat-out wide receiver in the slot. He has 8 receptions for 46 yards, so he hasn't really broken free, just like Odell Beckham Jr. Same type of receptions to yardage kind of ratio there, but he has been used a lot more on like end arounds and jet sweeps, 4 carries, 36 yards, and a score. I think Malik Washington has been more dynamic for this Dolphins football team this season, and maybe it's time to give him more chances to make plays in the passing game over Odell Beckham Jr. All right, that will do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We are on the road to 65K subscribers. We're under 500 away. We'll be live for the game on Thursday night against Green Bay. Videos in the next couple of days leading up to that game as well. Make sure you subscribe because we are going to be your one-stop shop for everything Miami Dolphins.